All right, brokers, welcome back to another great education day brought to you by Health First. And today we are going to be looking at plan year 2025 for the Utah individual and family market. As per usual, I am your host, David Rich, and I am the director of ACA for Health First. With me today is Brandon Combs, who is our president, and we are going to be going through education days with you. So let's dive on in. The agenda for today is to introduce a little bit about Health First, who we are, what we do, what we offer. We're going to talk about Agent Intel, QuoteMeal, Esign, and Greenline. We are going to look at how plan year 2024 went for the market and look at the changes that are upcoming for 2025. We'll also speak a little bit about HealthSherpa, current fraud in the industry, and AOR updates. As mentioned before, Brandon Combs is the president of Health First. He is the gentleman in the center in the blue blazer that is highlighted on the screen, followed by Dan Rich is our chief operations officer, just to his right. David Rich, that's me, the director of ACA, on middle left, followed by Chris Harrison, who is our director of Medicare. We won't be speaking too much today about Medicare, but if you work in the Medicare space and you're interested in what Health First offers for Medicare, then you definitely want to connect with and chat with Chris Harrison. And then Atlee Bringhurst, who is now married, so it's Atlee Peart now, is our office administrator, and she is in charge of our contracting department. So as you onboard for the first time, you probably deal a lot with Atlee directly. She's fantastic. And then our local Utah state reps are Lindy Lewis and Daniel Montoya, just there behind Dan and Brandon. And then the rest of the team around them of various recruiters, other state reps, and our web developers. So that is the Health First team, and this is where you can find us. So we are just on the north side of 106 South as you're coming up the hill from Mulligan's Golf Course. The physical address is on the screen there, is 10438 South, 1055 West. This is a great place to swing by if you need to pick up physical placemats, or if you just want to come by in person and say hi, or if you want to reach out to us on the Green Line and try and arrange some time for demos and training. Let's talk a little bit about what Health First is and what we do. So Health First is a general agency, and we typically fill the space between insurance brokers and insurance carriers. We operate a lot with data transparency and access, and we develop cool tools and systems for brokers to be able to use to make their job and their life easier. So we do have a proprietary broker portal. It is called Agent Intel, and it houses all of these things. So all of your commission statements, reconciliation, reports, they're all going to be in Agent Intel. We will do a demo later in the video so you can actually see some of these things, but here's just kind of the laundry list of what's in there. There's resources and fact sheets that either we generate or we harvest from carriers. There's a library and training section that consists of visual media, videos that are walkthrough guides on how to accomplish different processes. The book of business is also there. We have a lot of data access as a general agency, and so we bring in your data from 3 separate sources: quoting, application, and enrollments. And so as you use your quoting software, we bring that data into your book of business. As you use HealthSherpa to process enrollments, that data also comes into your book of business. And then as long as you have a contract with the carrier through us, we will also bring in the carrier data and bring all of those together in your book of business. There's also a coverage search that cross-checks between the healthcare.gov data set and the carrier's data set for providers, facilities, and medications. So when your client gives you that laundry list of things that they need to have coverage for, you can plug it into the coverage search and it will tell you by carrier, by network, whether they are or aren't in network. And then for prescriptions, it can also tell you what tier the medication is covered at. So very helpful tool there. And then carrier contacts, all the phone numbers, the emails, the links to broker portals, all of that information centralized in Agent Intel, along with FAQs across a spectrum from the IRS, from healthcare.gov, Department of Health and Human Services, from carriers, and from our own time working with brokers and answering their frequently asked questions. There is a lot of cool stuff in Agent Intel. QuoteMeal is our quoting software. You can do on and off exchange policies, short-term medical policies. You can bundle accident coverage with riders. And then there's also dental and vision as well. It's a pretty robust system. It also houses what we call Esign, is our proprietary process for signature gathering. So it's click to send to the client, click to sign by the client, and then you will get copies stored in your QuoteMeal that you can download. But you'll want to use this just to simplify application attestation and consumer consent and getting those signatures so that you can operate within the marketplace. We also have broker support. We call it the Green Line. And this is just a phone number and an email. You can text, call, or email us. The information on the screen is specific to Utah. We will be open during open enrollment from Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. We support pretty much everything. If you have a question, you can ask it. There's really nothing that's out of bounds. We answer a lot of questions about portal and enrollment support, whether that's through HealthSherpa or healthcare.gov or direct to the carrier. And then a lot of carrier and client support when you have questions about carriers, networks, medications, plans, policies, contracts, or if you need to have something escalated specific to an issue that you're experiencing with a client, you can really turn to this Green Line for all of your general needs. So that's a little bit about who we are, what we do, what we offer, and we will do an actual demo later and showcase some of these things more in depth. Health First is the only general agency with all 7 on-exchange carriers in Utah. There's not another GA that has all of those contracts. We also recently partnered with EMI, and we are their first general agency. So EMI is a local dental carrier to Utah, so we're very excited that carriers are willing to work with us and seem to appreciate the work that we do. So now that we've talked a little bit about who Health First is, what we do, how we do it, let's go back to the past a little bit and let's talk about how open enrollment went last year. So over the past 6 years, the Utah marketplace has grown and continues to grow. So you can see from this chart, there's just growth. In the past couple of years, it's gone 24%, 15%, back to 24%. But ultimately, we expect the market to continue to grow. There is a lot of business that is still out there. So this is the potential clients that exist right now as of last year in the Utah marketplace. So during open enrollment, there were 125,000 enrollments that went through that did not have a broker attached. 77,000 for the very first time, 59,000 that were passively enrolled by healthcare.gov, where the client didn't touch the application and the broker didn't touch the application. So there is a lot of business still out there looking for a broker or that could use a broker. Here we have the carrier distribution pie chart. No surprise, Select Health having a very large market share, 72%, followed by Aetna, who picked up a surprising 18%. Not so surprising, they were very competitively priced. They also had some very amazing plans, and they had the lowest max out of pocket that was available last year, so they did earn it. The good news is they are sticking around, and they are looking to continue that trend. And the rest of the carriers simply had smaller slices for lack of competitive pricing or lack of competitive plans. Here are the 10 most sold plans in the state of Utah, and this is somewhat surprising because 2 of these plans are actually going to go away. So hopefully you recognize a lot of these plans because you sold them and your clients were on them. But the 2 that are surprising because they are going away is actually the number 1 plan from Select Health, the Benchmark Silver 5900, 36% of enrollments. I forget the specific number, but it's over 20,000 people were on that policy, and they are going to need to shop for a new plan. The second most surprising one is plan number 8, the expanded Bronze 8050 HSA is going away as well. So Select Health will only offer 1 HSA, and it will not be available on the exchange. You will have to go direct to Select Health to get onto their HSA. Let's talk a little bit about changes for 2025. And the first thing that we're going to start with is the Health First placemat. So the plan year 2025 placemat is now available in your Agent Intel portal. You can just search for it and go download it. If you want physical copies, just email us at the Green Line. Let us know where to send them and how many you'd like. We'd be more than happy to mail some out to you. Real quick, if you're not familiar with the placemat, I like to call this the tool without the tool. What I mean is the first tool being the placemat, the second tool being QuoteMeal. QuoteMeal will tell you all of these things, but it will also tell you the price. The placemat, you can have an entire sales conversation, and pretty much the only thing that you can't tell them is what it's going to cost. So on the bottom left-hand side is a lot of the carrier and network information. So you can say, what county do you live in? These are the carriers and networks that are offered in your county. These are the hospital systems there. This is who covers which hospital. Here is a chart for federal poverty line. So how many people are in your tax household? How much income do you make? You're going to end up at this percentage of the federal poverty line, which might qualify you for this cost sharing reduction. Here's the type of income sources we need to include in your income. And then on the right-hand side of the screen are all of the carriers, the plans, and the surface level benefits for deductible, max out-of-pocket coinsurance, office visits, whether or not it has a prescription deductible, and then the prescription drug coverage for generics, brand medications, and specialty medications. So very surface level information, but you can have most of a sales conversation just from this document. So let's talk a little bit about some of the other things that are on here. On the placemat, you'll find the family unaffordable premium amount. This amount has increased to 9.02%. What we're talking about here is the family glitch fix, where if a family is offered coverage through an employer, but it is unaffordable, it can be deemed unaffordable, they can turn down the group coverage, and they can go get a subsidized plan through the marketplace. So this is the percentage that is going to be in effect for plan year 2025, and then just a walkthrough of how you determine whether or not the group coverage is unaffordable. Just want to highlight a couple of plans real quick, in particular the HSAs. So the only carriers that are going to be offering on-exchange HSAs are the University of Utah, Regence, and Aetna, marked here in the black boxes. Select Health will have an off-exchange silver HSA. but you'll just have to go direct to the carrier. Can't do it through the marketplace. And University of Utah will actually be the only HSA available in southern Utah. So down in Iron and Washington counties, there will be no other HSA on exchange besides the University of Utah. Next, let's talk about network sizes. The chart on the left is really just a bar chart that is based on the data that's on your placemat just below the hospital systems chart. So some people might be surprised to learn that Molina actually has the largest network in Utah. So you can see here, we based this on what percentage of primary care physicians and specialists the carrier covered. So Molina has over 70% in both categories. They cover about 70% of the primary care physicians and specialists in the state of Utah. Aetna, surprisingly, has a very robust specialist network. They cover about 67% of specialists in the state of Utah. And then you can see where all of the other carriers fall. But you'll have this information on your placemat underneath that hospital system in case you just need a reminder about roughly how much a network is going to cover the state of Utah. Next, we're going to talk about some marketplace changes and just sort of highlight where some of these can be found on the placemat. So every year, the affordability test changes. The family glitch is still going. It did increase to that 9.02%. You can find it on the very bottom, sort of middle of the network side of your placemat. HSA limits increased. You could find this in the bottom right-hand corner of your placemat. And then, of course, the federal poverty line limits change. And this is the kind of middle right side center of your placemat, just above the family glitch section. Beyond that, there are several other changes just in general happening in the marketplace. There is a reduced number of custom plans. They are just trying to limit how many customizable plans a carrier can offer so that there aren't tons and tons of plans available. That reduced number is now down to 2. So carriers can offer 2 customized plans per network per metal level. There is a carrier leaving Utah. Brandon will touch on this here a little bit later. Surprise, surprise, or spoiler, it's Cigna. So Cigna will be leaving the Utah marketplace for plan year 2025, which is why they don't appear anywhere on the placemat. There is a new CMS AOR process. We are going to talk a little more exhaustively about this later when we get to the HealthSherpa fraud and AOR section, but just know that there have been some very significant changes to agent of record and being the agent of record and what you can and can't do if you are not the agent of record. There's also been some very significant changes to short-term plans. If you're not super familiar with that, the long story short is they went from being able to be issued for up to 3 years down to 3 months, but we will address that a little bit later. Brandon will talk about that. So now let's take a little bit of a quick break / knowledge check and just have a little pop quiz. So which of these factors does not impact an ACA individual plan premium? Is it base rate factor, rating area factor, age factor, gender factor, or tobacco factor? And I'm going to give you a second to think about it. The reason we're going to talk or ask this question is because it's going to introduce some of the content that we're going to explore next. The answer is D. Gender is a factor that does not affect plan premium. Everything else does. Specifically, we're going to talk about base rate factor and the rating area factor. So here you can see the base rate factor for all plans and all carriers is increasing. So what this ultimately means is that premiums should go up if they were based solely upon this number, that is, or this increase, but that's not the case. So you just need to know that the base rate factor has increased across the board for every carrier, every metal level. Some of them are fairly negligible, some of them are pretty extreme. For instance, Select Health in the Platinum category going up 21% is pretty sizable. And then Molina going up 5% is not particularly extreme, but it did happen. And then here is how it actually looks on every single plan. So the base rate factor for every plan has increased, and we would expect that to increase the premium. It's not always the case. The reason being, one of the other factors is the rating area factor. So here you can see Molina actually went down more on their rating area factors than they increased on their base rate factors. So they actually have a decrease in premiums because of this reason. So it looks like prices would go up, but prices aren't actually going up. They're actually going to drop in some of these areas because of this other factor. However, Select Health having a 9% increase, we're going to look at rating area 5, which is Iron and Washington. They have a 9% increase for the rating area on top of all of their base rate factor increases. Ultimately, this is leading to Select Health in rating area 5 is going to be very, very expensive, and Molina is actually going to undercut everything in southern Utah. So we'll talk about that a little bit more, but base rate factors went up, rating areas went up or down, Molina went down, and because of that, they are going to do very well in southern Utah. So next pop quiz is, if the premium for the benchmark plan increases, then the tax credit will A, unknown, they are not correlated, B, decrease, C, stay the same, or D, increase. And the answer is that it will increase. So anytime the benchmark plan cost increases, the tax credit or the subsidy will do the same. Let's take a quick second to just discuss the term benchmark plan, because you're going to run into two instances of this, and unfortunately they are two very different things. The standard use of the term benchmark plan is what is used to determine subsidies in every county, and it's based on the second cheapest silver plan available to the consumer. So the second cheapest on exchange silver plan is always the benchmark plan. The second use is by Select Health and only by Select Health, and they use this to categorize their plans that are typically what's called 100% EHB. So if a plan is 100% EHB, it means everything that plan covers is subsidy eligible. So if the subsidy is greater than the premium, the plan will be free. If a plan is not 100% EHB, there is some sort of coverage in the plan, like adult vision, that is not subsidy eligible, meaning that even if the subsidy was greater than the premium, you would still have to pay for whatever is in that plan that is not subsidy eligible. So Select Health uses that term to differentiate between their plans that are fully subsidy eligible and their plans that aren't fully subsidy eligible. However, they have a plan this year that's an exception to that rule, and Brandon will talk about that. But let's circle back. Right now we're talking about if the premium for the second cheapest silver plan increases, the tax credit will also increase. The reason that we want to talk about that is because of this chart. So the benchmark plan in every single county is increasing, which means that subsidies are also going to increase. So you should see a higher subsidy for your clients. It may look negligible because what will happen is the price of the plan will go up. The subsidy will also go up, and they will cancel each other out, and the carrier or the client will be left with the same premium. Even though the plan went up and the subsidy went up, they might just pay the same price even though everything got more expensive. But just subsidies are going to go up. Clients may or may not notice and see that. Now let's talk about plans and how they stack up. So here is this chart. We are looking at bronze plans specifically. From left to right, we're looking lowest premium to the highest premium, and then top to bottom is the different counties that are here in Utah. So here you can see in the very first column, Select Health has a lot of bronze plans that are the lowest cost bronze plan. Keep in mind that Select Health has 3 different networks. The ones you are looking at are Signature. In the second column, you'll see a lot of Aetna and a lot of Regence, and the Regence ones are going to be Save Well, and then the higher up Regence ones are going to be the IFN. But you can just kind of see, for instance, in rating area 2, where you've got Box Elder, Morgan, Weber, the cluster of Regence there is Save Well and the IFN, and then in column 6 is Select Health on their value network. So there's a little bit of a distribution layout there, and just kind of how to expect those to shake out. Here are the silver plans. Like we said, the second column there is the second cheapest silver plan. So Aetna is actually the benchmark plan in most counties in Utah, and the subsidy is determined in relation to those plans. Select Health has a lot of the first cheapest silver plans on their Signature network, and then their value silvers coming in on columns 3 or 4, depending on which county you're looking at. And then just a lot of Molina, and then U of U, Regence, Imperial, kind of up in those higher ends. But you can see in Iron and Washington, rating area 5, Molina has the first, second, third, and fourth cheapest silver plans before Select Health shows up. And they are going to pick up a lot of silver plans down that way. They don't show up here for bronze because Molina doesn't offer any bronze plans. And then gold, no surprise, is Molina. Lots and lots of Molina gold. Maybe the one story you don't get from looking at these charts is how they actually compare to each other. So stick around to the end. We will do a demo of QuoteMeal, and I'm going to show you how Iron and Washington looks in relation to Molina. What's wild is these Molina gold plans, in some cases, are cheaper than the Molina silver plans. And so as you're quoting, you might see what looks like a stray gold plan that looks really out of place from Molina. I promise you it is not. In many, many cases, Molina gold is cheaper than Molina silver, and may end up being cheaper than other carriers' silver plans. So you're going to see Molina pick up a lot down south, but you might see some of these gold plans mixed in and being very competitive even against silver plans, especially if they don't have a great cost-sharing reduction. So that concludes the initial portion of my presentation. I am going to go ahead and pass it off to Brandon, and he is going to walk you through all of the carrier changes to expect, and then stick around at the end. We're going to chat a little bit more about HealthSherpa and fraud and AORs, and do a little demo and orientation for Agent Intel and QuoteMeal. Thank you so much, and I will see you here shortly.
All right. Hey, thanks, David. So, yeah, we're just going to go over the plan changes for 2025. There's not a ton of changes, but we do need to mention that Cigna will be exiting the marketplace for plan year 2025. That's really all there is on that. They didn't have an amazing network, and so there were just other similar carriers that had better networks and better pricing. They just weren't positioned very well, so they ended up exiting Utah for 2025. Imperial, they will be getting out all of their information to everyone on November 1st, so most of their stuff is not going to be on the placemat, and if you do need any help with Imperial, if you do sell any plans, you can reach out to us on the Green Line and we can walk you through any of that. Molina, there is still no bronze plans in Utah, so they are piloting a bronze plan in Ohio, so they're bringing them back in Ohio, so they're going to see how that goes. They have talked significantly about getting better at risk adjustment, and so they're going to see how that goes in Ohio this year. They are going to be extremely competitive in Iron and Washington counties, so down in the southern part of Utah, and we kind of went over that a little bit earlier. Their area factor decrease is about 12% for the entire state, and so we're going to see some really, really competitive Molina plans in Iron and Washington, and they're going to be very competitive in those gold plans. A lot of those premiums on the gold plans are going to beat out silver premiums in most of the counties that they're in. So they have talked about improving their customer service with a focus on answer times and first call resolutions. They know that's been an issue over the years. Molina's not they're not amazing on the customer service or the broker service side of things, unfortunately. I know they're trying to work on it, but I think their main focus is just making sure that their premiums and their plan designs are in line for the markets that they're in. So we also should mention that their teledoc does include mental health visits as well. So they have a Molina Healthy Rewards program. And so that's the wellness assessment. So if they take that wellness assessment and an annual physical, they'll actually be eligible for a $200 Amazon gift card. Okay, so let's talk about the University of Utah. Their UHealth Plus network, they had that. They've had it for a few years, but because they added that Holy Cross Hospital system last year in Davis County, they're going to be available throughout all of Salt Lake County and Davis County, except for the zip code of 84006. There's about 800 and something people living there. That's Copperton area, but that's the only zip code in Salt Lake and Davis County that they're not going to be covering. Their bronze plans are going to be extremely competitive in Iron and Washington County. Select Health has taken significant increase. We talked a little bit about that earlier. And they're going to also be the only HSA plan in town when it comes to southern Utah and rural counties. So all of their plans are 100% EHB, meaning that they'll be eligible for zero premium if the subsidy all lines up correctly. They have their wellness program, so it's a $50 rewards program. You get $50 for each of these things: flu shot, wellness exam. Not wellness exam, but the wellness check. That's for 3 years old and over, and then breast cancer screenings for any females over 40 years old. To note, they have discontinued their mobile app, and we're not exactly sure why, but that won't be an option moving forward. Their MD Live also includes mental health. It's kind of a trend moving forward that all telemedicine is going to be starting to include mental health visits. So, Regence. So they are discontinuing their SaveWell non-standard plans, Bronze 8500, the Bronze 7500, and the Silver 5000. So they will only have standard plans available. The IFN network, It's a 4-state footprint. They outside of that 4-state footprint of parts of Utah, parts of Idaho, parts of Washington, and all of Oregon. If you go outside of that area for care, you can use the Blue Card National PPO network for any sort of urgent care visits. Obviously, emergency services are covered as in network with the No Surprises Act. If you go out of the country, they have their BCBS Global Care Worldwide for emergency services, so that's nice as well. Most of their plans are 100% EHB. They do have a few that are not, and that's just, I think they've added vision on them. So we do want to call out their chiropractic and their chiropractic visits. I believe you get 10 visits per year. And so that is a nice benefit. IAP benefit, that's their mental health benefit, and that is you get four visits per occurrence per person in the household. So you don't actually have to be on the plan in order to utilize this benefit. Anyone in the household can actually utilize this benefit. And that is only on the Silver and Gold IFN non-standard plans. So their optimum value medication list. This is a list of, it's an extensive list of medications. These are preventive chronic illness maintenance medications, and these are waived. They'll waive the pharmacy deductible for any of these medications. So it's a nice list, and that will be available on Agent Intel. Hinge Health is another add-on for this year. This is new, and this is it's essentially a virtual physical therapy benefit. And Hinge Health, it's an app that you get on your phone. They will send you a stand for your phone. They will send you all of the necessary equipment, TENS devices, yoga mats, stretchy bands, really anything that you would need for physical therapy. They'll send it to you in the mail, and then you will start your program. You'll meet with a physical therapist. They'll set up a program for you, and you will perform the exercises virtually on the phone, and it actually will monitor you and make sure you're doing them correctly. It's really, really a cool program. So there's a ton of spend from medical plans on physical therapy every single year, and so this is a good way that Regence is trying to reduce costs on their plans. So we do need to call out that if a brand name prescription medication is chosen when a generic is available, the member will pay the difference in that price. So they can appeal this, and there is step therapy and prior authorization and stuff like that, but this is just the responsible thing to do as a consumer. Keep in mind that they have their credentialing. It needs to be done no later than October 31st at midnight. It's in your producer portal, in your producer center. If you cannot get into your producer center, or if you need help, please reach out to us at the Green Line. We will walk you through it. It's open book. There's a PowerPoint presentation that they have available. You can actually Control F for the answers. It's 26 questions. There's no time limit. You get unlimited attempts. You need to get an 80% passing score. You need to make sure that your name and your NPN are included in there, and just save your certificate. But this will actually give you access to better commissions through Regence. So, and we believe that it's actually really, really important just to understand their different networks and whatnot. So, Select Health. So, they are going to be discontinuing their Signature Platinum, their Signature Gold, the Med Expanded Bronze 8050 HSA that we kind of hinted on earlier, and the Med Benchmark Silver 5900. So there were 25,000 members on that Silver plan and 12,000 members on that HSA plan. So there's going to be a lot of members that are currently out there that are going to need help being crosswalked. And so we put a little visual up here in the upper right hand corner to let you know that, hey, if you look, number 8 is the expanded bronze 8050 HSA plan, and that is no longer going to be available. And then that med benchmark silver 5900 was the number 1 plan last year, with 36% of the state on that plan. So not all plans are going to be available on all networks. This is due to CMS's new rules around how many plans they're able to offer per metal level, and this puts a damper on things when you have 3 networks. So they will have off-exchange silver plans. They are discounted, but not by much. So over the years, that discount has gotten slimmer and slimmer and slimmer, and I think it's now down to about 10%. So it used to be around 30-35%. They do have a $0 generic medication list for diabetes on all of their plans, so they can get those maintenance medications for free, which is really nice. The benchmark plans they're typically considered 100% EHB, but this year they have added the not added, but the benchmark, the med benchmark silver 6000, they added vision to that plan. And so that one is the only benchmark plan that is not considered 100% EHB. We talked about the rating area increase in Iron and Washington counties of 9% on top of that med increase of 9%, so almost a 20% increase in premiums. I think that Select Health, those plans are going to be, I think their cheapest bronze plan available in Iron and Washington County is going to be number 10 on the list. And so you'll see Molina gold plans, then University of Utah bronze plans, then Molina silver plans, and then Select Health bronze plans. So they're going to be way down the list on that one. They are still the only carrier with a platinum plan available on the market, but that will only be on the Value and Med network this year, so they won't have that on the Signature network. Davis Hospital is just a kind of an odd call out, but it's on your placemat. But the Davis Hospital is only available in 2025 on the Med network, so no Value and no Signature for the Davis Hospital. Let's jump into Aetna, and they have discontinued their Silver 7 plan. So last year they had 3 silver plans. And they discontinued the Silver 7 because they were only allowed to have 2 this year. So that was the least populated plan. They still have their 2-tiered network on non-standard plans. So their peak preference network is their network. The Tier 1 will include HCA and Holy Cross hospital systems and doctors, and Tier 2 will include University of Utah hospital systems and doctors. And the way to determine whether a client is, a physician or a hospital system is in that Tier 1 or Tier 2, if you look on Aetna's website and look up a physician, under their name, it will show maximum savings if they are in the Tier 1 network. And so really it just gives them access to a little bit better co-pays and a little bit of better co-insurance. Other than that, it's not a significant difference. And so it's pretty easy to just say, hey, in this network, we have HCA, Holy Cross, and University of Utah hospital systems in network. Their Silver 6 CSR has their 94 CSR Silver 6 has a $995 max out of pocket, so that's the lowest max out of pocket available on the marketplace. So we're just going to call out some of their plans that we think are pretty neat. So they do have a new gold plan. It's called the Gold 10. It has a 0 deductible, which is really cool. The Silver 6 CSR 87 and the 94, they have 0 deductibles. So that was the same from last year, but I just like to call that out because a 0 deductible on an 87 CSR is really nice. Their Silver 5 CSR 94 still has 0 copays for primary care physicians and specialists. That's a nice plan. We've got some more add-ons here. They've got 20% off their CVS Health branded products in CVS stores. They can just use their ID card to get this discount. They have a couple minute clinics here in the Salt Lake area, but around the country, especially in these metro areas, they have these minute clinics in the CVS stores, and you're able to actually go in and see a physician, just a walk-in, which is really nice, and that's free. 24/7 CVS virtual care on all plans, that's free for all those visits. They do have their $100 per year allowance for over-the-counter items at CVS stores nationwide. You can use your ID card for that as well. $1 copay for chiropractic on all non-HSA plans. So on their HSA plan, you have to pay for the chiropractic visits, but on everything else, you just have a copay for your chiropractic care. All of the Aetna plans now include a $3 low-cost generic medication. So these are those maintenance medications that we kind of talked about earlier. But those generic medications are $3, which is really nice. And it does not apply to the CMS standard plans. Sorry. Just to note that. All right. Allstate benefits. So there was new legislation that was passed on 9/1 that made short-term plans short again. They're not necessarily long-term plans. They used to go for as long as 36 months. That's no longer the case. And that went into effect on September 1st. So accident medical enhancers that will be available on HealthSherpa moving forward, but it's not an easy process. I'm hoping that in the future that will get better with Sherpa and that integration, but for now it's probably going to be easier to continue to do your accident medical enhancer applications directly on Allstate's back office website. We talked about the new legislation. Here's some of the details on that. The length of one of these plans can be no more than 3 months, with an option to extend 1 month. So limiting that maximum coverage period to 4 months. So no more 3-year plans, only 4-month plans moving forward. Best One Dental. We've had significant premium increases on Best One Dental. They are more in line with the... I would say they're more in line with the rest of the market. When you look at a $5,000 annual maximum, most companies are around $250. They're going to be around $200 now. They were at about $100 for a family. So we've got some significant increases there, but the benefits have stayed the same. It's still a really good plan. They do have their vision discount plan embedded in there, and they have their direct broker enrollment link that we'll embed into your QuoteMeal so that you can sell this product pretty easily. So with that, I'll hit on EMI Dental real quick. So we have become the first general agency for EMI. They're a local company here in Utah. I'm sure you know of them, heard of them, sold their products. So we will be offering that as well, and they will be on QuoteMeal. This QR code here, if you take a picture of this is if you are currently appointed with EMI, you'll be able to actually just take a picture of this QR code, fill out the form, and it essentially will just give your consent for your affiliation with Health First. So and EMI products. So if you'd like to be affiliated with Health First on EMI products, you still own your book of business. You still get 100% of commissions. We can just help out a little bit more when it comes to commissions moving forward and reconciling those and that kind of stuff. But click on that, take a picture of that QR code and fill out that form, and we'll get it into EMI Dental. If you're not contracted with EMI Dental, you can go straight to their website and get contracted under the broker section, or just call us at the green line and we'll walk you through it. It's pretty easy. So I will now turn the time over to David to wrap us up here. But thanks for tuning in.
All right. Thank you so much, Brandon. And let's go ahead and dive back in and move on. So, if you aren't using HealthSherpa to process your marketplace enrollments, we highly suggest and endorse them. They are just fantastic to work with. And then we have a lot of data connection and access that we use on our end for your book of business and tracking of clients to just make it easier for you to keep an eye on things. So if you are interested in connecting your HealthSherpa to Health First so that we can have data access and that so we can support you better when it comes to troubleshooting applications and clients and things, you just need to go into your settings. You need to go down to join an upline and type in the Health First join code, which is 92B9, and this will connect your HealthSherpa to ours. If you don't see that option, it may have to do with the way your account was set up, and you just may need to reach out to HealthSherpa broker support and have them adjust the type of your account to be able to support joining an upline. So let's talk a little bit about agent of record changes. So for those of you that are not in the know, unfortunately, fraud in the health insurance industry is kind of at an all-time high. And there have been a lot of systems put in place that make it much harder for bad brokers to commit fraud, which is a very good thing. It has also made it very hard for good brokers to take care of good business that was stolen. So if you don't have any fraud that you're dealing with, fantastic. There's not any issues there. If you have any cases where you are dealing with fraud, there's going to be some hoops to jump through. So I guess in order is if a client comes brand new to the marketplace, they've never had an account, they've never had an agent of record, you should experience no problems. You can create an account, you can attach your NPN as the broker, you'll be golden. If a new client comes to you and they have an existing account and there is no agent of record, you should also be good to go. You can put your NPN on it and you should be fine. The problem is if anybody else's NPN exists on that policy, whether legitimate or fraudulent, you're going to have to jump through some hoops. And so the primary method that the marketplace is currently running is to do a 3-way call with healthcare.gov in order to change an AOR. So you, the client, and the marketplace need to get on a call, and they need to manually change the agent of record to the new broker. So going through that phone call will reassign it to you. And then if anybody else wants to commit fraud and take it from you, they have to do the same thing. They have to get the client and the marketplace on the phone, but they won't be able to just go slap their NPN on it through HealthSherpa. Other options to this, besides doing a 3-way call, is HealthSherpa is trying to work on something. I was given very little details, but it sounds like by the time you watch this, it may have already been solved. But HealthSherpa is looking to implement some sort of non-3-way call based way of being able to submit consent and authorization between a client and a broker to change that AOR that the marketplace is hopefully okay with. So more details to come. It legitimately might be fixed before we release this recording or you see this recording, but there's something in the works. The other option is really, really old school, and you just do a screen share with the client, and they make a healthcare.gov account, or they get into their healthcare.gov account, and you just kind of walk them through the application process, and they should be able to change the agent of record and add your NPN directly from their marketplace account. So that is an option as well. But HealthSherpa does have a report that you can run called the AOR at risk report. And we would highly recommend running this report prior to open enrollment, just to make sure that you're not going to run into any last minute surprises where you try to do work for somebody and it prevents you from doing the work for that client. This is kind of a big pain right now, but it won't tell you that you can't submit a change to the policy until the end of the application. So you might do an entire application and then get, stuffed on the 1 yard line and do 90% of the work for absolutely nothing. And then you have to go do the 3-way call, make yourself the AOR, and then come back to HealthSherpa and then get into the end zone. So it's going to be frustrating, but you should really get in and you should run that at-risk report sooner than later so that you can go ahead and start problem solving these cases where either somebody else, fraudulently or legitimately became the agent of record. So last thing is you must have a valid social security number for anyone that's applying. And so even at the moment, there is a glitch where typically you could add a newborn baby without a social security number. Right now, it is requiring a social security number. We expect that glitch to be fixed. But for all other members of the household, if they are applying for coverage, they have to have a valid social security number. And that's just another way that they're trying to fight fraud. So let's talk real quick about how can brokers obtain consent from a client. Here are the options, and I'm a creature of habit. If it says all of the above, I usually go with all of the above. And in this case, it's all of the above. So in person, you can get them to sign a document. Over the phone, you should have it recorded. And then electronically, which is what we have with QuoteMeal and Esign, is you click to send them consent, you click to send them the attestation, they click to sign it, and then it gets stored and recorded in QuoteMeal. And you can have copies of that if you ever need to produce them for any reason. So, let's go to the next question because I almost gave this one away. So when do brokers need to collect the application attestation from clients? Is it on the first of the plan year? Is it when they turn 26? Is it when you switch a client from another broker to you? Or is it every time you make a change for a client? And the answer is D. Every single time you make a change for a client, you need to have an application attestation form. So if you update an address, attestation form. Add a dependent, attestation form. Change a phone number, attestation form. If anything at all changes with their application, you have to get one of these forms. Consent, you only need to get once. Consent stays in effect until rescinded by the client. Application attestation is every single time you're going to make a change to an application. So here we have a screenshot of QuoteMeal, and here is the Esign portion. So in the upper right-hand corner, you can see a consent form and an application attestation form. They both say not started. You click on the box. It asks you which one you want to send. You do have to have information saved specific to the client. So you will have to have like their name, their phone number, their email, and at least a primary date of birth for the consent form. For application attestation, you'll need to have everything else. You'll need to have tax filing, household size, income, dependents' birthdays, all of those things. But click to send, click to sign, you get a copy. And then there's actually a new tab in the medical, accident, dental, vision, quote, and household information section. Here it's highlighted and it says download. So download is exactly how it looks below. It's going to be your PII attestation form, consent forms. So once the client has signed it, this is where you'll be able to retrieve copies of those documents. And then I wanted to highlight this other box here is for the effective date. So here you can see I have the effective date set to January 1st, 2025. The reason being is that you can start quoting policies for next year right now. So the state of Utah is up and running and ready to quote. All you have to do is change the effective date to January 1st, 2025, and you can start quoting policies for next year. Real quick, let's just talk about Spanish. So we have added the ability to send quotes and consent and attestation in Spanish. So for those of you that need to have those documents for Spanish-speaking clients, you have that option. There are two drop-downs, one in the upper right-hand corner and then one that is above the quote. They actually are in sync, so if you change one of them, it'll change the other. But basically, you could toggle between English and Spanish and send quotes, consent, and application attestation forms in Spanish if you need to do that. We also do have a small group quoting tool. And this is, right now, this is just an in-house tool that Health First has designed for us to be able to run your quotes. But as you can see, it looks very similar to QuoteMeal for individual and families. And the reason is eventually we will launch this to be a broker-facing tool. But so right now, if you have groups and you want them quoted, just call us or email us at the green line, and we have this beautiful tool that will help us get you a quote. But in the long run, keep an eye out. We are hopeful to launch this for brokers here in the next year, and just keep an eye out for that. Okay, so this pretty much concludes our presentation for all of the changes and open enrollment review. Everything from here on out is going to be sort of demo for new brokers or curious brokers, but we're going to look at Agent Intel. We're going to look a little bit at QuoteMeal, and just kind of showcase some of those things. But I'm going to just jump sort of here to the end and just talk about what value does Health First provide. And you can see here, there's a lot of things on there. Once again, creature of habit. The answer is N, all of the above. So we're going to demonstrate a little bit of Agent Intel and QuoteMeal, and we're going to talk about our new carrier contracting section. We're going to talk about commission reconciliation. Obviously, here you're doing an education day video, but we do these in person. We also do seminars for other things and ongoing training. Independence, your book is always yours. Your commissions are always yours. Green line broker support. White labeled marketing. I probably will splice in some video and showcase that because I'm really excited about it. The placemat's fantastic. We put out a lot of other fact sheets and helpful things. We do license and E&O and certification tracking. We do industry updates on when things change with short-term medical. We have QuoteMeal quoting software, the Agent Intel broker portal. We have this built-in CRM for your clients. We do consent and application attestation, all these wonderful things. So thank you so much for sticking around. You've made it to the end of the presentation, and now we're going to jump in and demo a little bit of Agent Intel and QuoteMeal and some of the things that we've talked about today. So thank you for watching, or stick around and I will thank you again here a little bit later. All right. Well, thank you, brokers. For everybody that did stick around, let's just run through and demo a little bit of Agent Intel and QuoteMeal and the different things that are available to you as a broker. And just understand that this is going to be a very surface level video, just more of an orientation and awareness. For more in-depth videos, once you're actually in Agent Intel, you can come down here to this training section. And here are all of the different videos that we have for things, with HealthSherpa, with Aetna, with Best One Dental and Allstate. And then there is an entire section here for Health First, which has a more comprehensive Agent Intel tour, how to build a better bronze plans with accidents and coverage, how to look at these different thresholds in QuoteMeal. QuoteMeal tour, there's a video that talks about the income cliff and the American Rescue Plan Act, goes in depth over consent and attestation, the family glitch fix, even past education days. Just lots of helpful videos. So if you want more in-depth content, that's going to be the best place to turn. But let's just go through some surface level content, sort of speed run, and show you what's what and what's around. So on your dashboard, this is a section for any helpful announcements from us, just any big changes that brokers need to be aware of, anything that also needs action. So we do track clients turning 65, clients turning 26, data we get from HealthSherpa on who hasn't made a binder payment yet and needs to be effectuated. You'll just get some data notifications here for important things that are going on in your book. That's also available here in the Action Center. And so you'll be able to see here the comprehensive list of data points that we track and will notify you of. And here in the menu, you've got your tools section, resources section, training section, and compensation. So this is where the QuoteMeal tool lives, and we'll jump into that here in a little bit. This is your coverage search. So this is where you can type in providers, prescriptions, facilities, and build out this coverage cart. For instance, I had a broker that was inquiring about this particular medication, but he wasn't sure about the dosage on it. And so I pulled every single instance of that medication, and this is what it kicked out. And so I can tell him, okay, none of these carriers are gonna cover this medication in any way, shape, or form. But the U of U actually does have some coverage, and then Aetna has some, and then actually Imperial has some as well. So if this is their primary worry is this medication, they need to go with Aetna, Imperial, or U of U. And in some cases, just as a side note, so this does check with healthcare.gov, and then it checks with the provider. So occasionally we are able to get this secondary bit of information. The check or the X just says whether or not it's in their formulary, but occasionally we can actually pull at what level they cover it, whether it's preferred, generic, non-preferred, and so you can compare that to a summary of benefits and tell them exactly how that carrier is going to cover that medication. But so you do that for providers, prescriptions, facilities, put it in the coverage cart, build out your coverage cart, download it, send it to the client. Book of business, we talked a little bit about this bringing in your information from quoting, application, and enrollment. So this is a fake client that we've built out in our system just for demonstration purposes. But in QuoteMeal, you do have a household information or the high tab where you can go and you can fill out their address, information about the household. You can save socials. You can save notes about medications. It's HIPAA compliant, encrypted storage, and so you can fill this out, and this is basically all the information that you would need to be able to run an application in most cases. But this does sync up with QuoteMeal, but you have to create the client in QuoteMeal. You aren't able to create clients from your book of business, just you can quote them here, and then it'll sync up to your book of business. If you join your HealthSherpa to ours, once again, that join code is 92B9, but you can tie your HealthSherpa to our HealthSherpa, and we can pull your actual application data and bring that in to your book of business. And then I made a fake carrier called Sugar Coated Health, complete with fake subscriber ID and information. And we just bring in your quoting, your application, and your enrollment data all into one spot in your book of business. Contracting is pretty cool. So we are in the process of updating which contracts people actually do have, but you'll be able to see and manage all of your contracting requests through this portal. And this will just help you and then our contracting department just keep in touch and be streamlined and be aware of where you're at in the contracting process. So it'll lay out each and every step of what you need to do and whether or not the ball is in your court or the ball is in our court or the ball is in the carrier's court. It's just going to simplify your ability to see which contracts you have with us and be able to request new contracts. So exciting stuff there. The resources section. So this is all things related to carriers. And so all of the carrier documents and things will be in here. Summaries of benefits, if they happen to have, co-branded marketing materials that you can use. Any fact sheets that they put together, if they have an actual AOR paper, they'll have that. You can also just jump to AORs and SBCs, or you can actually go carrier by carrier and see what they offer. Important contacts, you're going to be able to just see all of the information that you need on carriers. We're working on rounding this out a little bit more and adding some other links and things. But right now it's really just phone numbers and emails. Eventually we'll have hyperlinks for broker portal, documents, provider search, like anything that helps you do your job that you may need to occasionally go direct to the carrier's website instead of doing it here through Agent Intel. And then we'll come back to marketing. I don't want to spoil that one yet. So training section, fact sheets and our knowledge base. This is going to be a lot of the other documents that you'll be able to get through the carrier section. But this is just going to, circumvent the carrier section. And these are all of the documents that are actually super helpful. So like the employer coverage affordability test, this is the document that an employee would give to their company or their HR representative, where they'll say whether or not it's ACA compliant coverage and how much it costs the employee, so that you can determine if they fail that affordability test. And then there's all sorts of other stuff in here. Aetna's, flyers, Allstate change of beneficiary forms, things from the carriers like Doctor on Demand, flyers, brochures. If it exists, the aim is to bring it in here and make it available so you can just search in one space to find these things. And then this might be an admin feature right now. Don't quote me on this, but you might have this feature in the future to be able to email these documents directly to a client. So you just click and say, hey, I need it to go to this email, and here's this message. But at least right now, for Health First purposes, it makes it easy for us to find and provide you with documents that you'll want to have access to. Pretty robust FAQs, just covering all manner of everything that we were able to get our hands on or that we've run into ourselves. This is a great first place to turn to look for answers to frequently asked questions. And then the knowledge base. This is going to be a little bit more of the documents that Health First creates. So your placemats will be in here. If you really are curious about how subsidies are calculated, if you watched Education Days and you heard us talk about, base rate changes and rating area factor changes and benchmark plan costs and the income spending cap, and this is how subsidies are made. It's a wild ride when you find out, how the hot dog is made. But so this is just all the documents and things that we put together that are helpful for brokers. Of course, training we talked a little bit about, but this is all going to be your visual material for just how to do things with applications, with carriers, with our quoting software, with Agent Intel, just lots of good visual media to learn and grow as a broker or to train support staff. And then, of course, compensation. So all of the commissions, data, and things live here. So it'll do your policies and your commissions, most recent by month. You can track that rise and that fall. You can drill down a little bit further. So everything here in reports, commissions, reconciliation statements, you could jump straight to these sections, or you could just drill down by clicking here. So you have kind of your overall snapshot, and then here's your by carrier snapshots, and you can toggle on and off of commissions or bonuses. And then you can go even deeper, and so you can go click on the actual carrier, and this will take you to the statements tab. So if you actually just go here and click on statements, you'll jump to this exact same section, and you could just go click on, apologies, it didn't actually go to the overall statements. It just went back to Allstate. So there we go. So now we've got all carrier statements. I guess I could have actually done that from here as well, just changing who I was looking at. But you can go click on a carrier and then give it a couple of seconds. It's going to load your statement down at the bottom, so you can actually go see the policy holder, client type, product, policy type, the month you got paid for. So if you got like triple paid for a couple of months, they'll all show up there. Split, just all of your commission statement stuff there. And then let's go back to look at a reconciliation. So if you go to a reconciliation, this is where you'll be able to see the rise and the fall of particular clients over time. And so this will flag any deviations in commission, whether it went up or it went down. So you'll be able to see, policies that dropped off, commissions that went down, commissions that went up, and just be able to track the rise and fall of commissions over time. And so that is pretty much all the sweet, amazing things that are available in Agent Intel to you as a broker. And then saving the newest and the best for last is let's talk about marketing. I'm going to make a more in-depth video on how to use this, but let's just do a quick demonstration of what this is and how this is going to work. So let's just go ahead and pull up plan year 2025, and then here's a list of the different ads that we have. They come in 4 styles. There are flyers, postcards, social media posts, and yard signs. So you can select your type, you can select your year, and then you can go select your ad, and you can start building this out. You can go upload a logo. Let's just do... I shouldn't have deleted that, but I will fix that. So there we go. So I'm going to go upload my company logo, and I'm going to toggle the logo on. So now I have this logo that I can go put around, and you have some formatting options here for your logo, so you can change the size of your logo. You can also add a background to it. So you could say, hey, I want to have a white background on it. Maybe I want to change the width and the height of that box. Maybe I want to round the corners a little bit. But there we go. I like that. Maybe I want to do a different color, so I want to type in a hex code, or maybe I want to use this eyedropper tool and I want to match it to, something that's in the ad, just so that it shares a little bit of, color semblance. You can do that. But let's go ahead and make that, have our logo, and then, maybe we say, we just want to put it up there. And then here you've got options for the text that actually goes on it. So you can add your company name. And so by default, it usually starts out in this upper left-hand corner, but I'm just going to move it down here. And then I'm going to change the font color to white. But they pretty much always roll out in this order. So company name, phone, and email. But you can decide which data points you want to take out or add. And then you can decide if you want it, oriented to the left, if you want it centered, if you want it right, depending on where you actually want to put it. So maybe you want it down in that corner, you want your logo there. Maybe you want more space between your lines. Maybe you want a bigger font, and then you want to decrease your lines. Maybe you want a different font entirely. And we're working on adding additional fonts. But right now, this is pretty functional. You can say, hey, maybe you want a border on your font, and you want a stronger border. You want it, really red. Same thing. If you want a text background, you can do same thing. You can increase your height and your width. You can round it. However you want to do this, you have a lot of control over how you want to design your information on your ad. You can go reset your settings if you want to, clean up your backgrounds, however you want to do this. And then you could just go click to download the image, and you will get a copy of that. And then you can take that to go print. You can go post it on social media. You can do whatever on earth you want with your ad. So that's how the marketing studio is going to work, and how that's going to look. So, all right. So let's take a detour and let's go talk about QuoteMeal. So I've gone ahead and loaded a client, and then just for illustration's point, let's go ahead and push this out to January 1st, 2025. And then let's actually do, there we go. All right. So now I've got my client, first name, last name, phone, email, a couple of family members, and then I've put in an Iron and Washington zip code, because we're going to showcase a little bit of how this is going to look. And so we talked about Molina coming in strong. This is how strong they are coming in, is this family of four, making $45K. They're at 144% of the federal poverty line, and Molina Silver, no cost. Molina Gold, no cost. Molina Silver, no cost. Molina Gold, no cost. All the way until you have U of U bronze plans, and then now we're starting to see Select Health bronze plans. So you've got a Select Health bronze a Molina Gold, and then Molina Silver. And so this is how they're stacking up, is having a free gold plan, a free silver plan, and then a $30 a month bronze plan. So Select Health is going to hurt a little bit down in southern Utah. But real quick, so just, here's the medical tab. You can see all the plans laid out, low premium to high premium. You can go through, you can select which plans you want to add to your quote. You can go mark one of them as a favorite, so it gets a little heart on the quote. Change your language. You can go find past quotes that you've sent to the client. If they've done their consent and attestation forms, you can come to the download section and have them. You can also do click to send, click to sign for consent and attestation. You can go add on an accident policy. You can go add dental. You can go add vision. And you can really build out and round out your quote. You can save and recall clients within the quoting software. And then here's that household information or high tab, where I have the address, the socials, and just all the information about the household that I would need to be able to go run an application for them. So that's QuoteMeal in a nutshell. But if you are curious about any of this, if you need access to any of this, if you need training to any of this, please reach out to us on the Green Line. We would love to get you set up and familiar and have access to these systems and resources, so that you can take care of your business and take care of your clients. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found Education Days to be insightful and helpful. And if you need anything at all from us, please don't hesitate to reach out on the Green Line. Thank you so much for watching, and have a wonderful year.